Breakfast at Tiffany's.
What's going on, Lakers fan? Welcome back to another episode of Breakfast at Tiffany's. Today, we are diving into one of the more controversial playoff games we have seen so far. And honestly, it's not just about basketball, it's about officiating, consistency, and how much impact referees should really have on the outcome of a game. We are going to break down the DeAndre Ayton ejection, why so many people disagree with that, including players and coaches on both sides, and how much this fits into a bigger pattern involving referee decisions this postseason. Also, we get into the Lakers' actual anchor issued in Game 4. Actually, I would say it started from the second half in Game 3 and continue to happen in Game 4. Despite all the noise around the refs, there are some real basketball problems that showed up and have been the biggest concern from me before this series start. And finally, we'll talk about a little bit Austin Reeves and why his potential return could completely shift this series. Alright, you guys get ready? Okay, let's get into this one. So let's start with the moment everyone's talking about, DeAndre Ayton getting ejected. The play itself was Ayton went up. It initially looked like he's contesting Şengün at the ring, then tried to recover into position, and he came down. His forearm rolled up Şengün's back and made contact with his face. Technically, by rule, you can argue excessive contact to the head. And of course, I totally agree that opened the door to a flagrant. But here's where the debate really starts. Was it unnecessary and excessive? Or was it just an accident touch? Let's just look worse in slow motion. Because that's what replay does, it exaggerates impact. In real time, this looked like a messy basketball play. Not a target strike, not a wind up, not a follow-up throw with intent. And we know what kind of players DeAndre Ayton was. He's been criticized for his whole career for not doing that physical play, let alone he would do that to hurt a player. So the referee, James Williams, ruled it to a flagrant 2, which means automatic ejection. And immediately, the reaction across the board was confusion. Ayton himself said it was accidental. That's what I say. He was just trying to brace for contact, slip, and made unintended contact. This is a player in his 8th season with 0 prior ejections. So that contact here matters when you are judging intent, right? He's not that kind of dirty players, buddy. And what really stands out is the reaction from everyone else. Şengün, the player who actually took the hit, said he didn't expect an ejection and called the decision soft. Also, Ime Udoka said the same thing. He was surprised. So Lakers coach JJ Redick also went even further and basically broke down the mechanics of the play, saying Ayton was bracing, his arm slipped, and there was no intent, of course. So when both things are aligned in questioning this call, it's so rare. That usually tells you the ruling might not match the reality of the play. Here's where this turns from a single call into a bigger conversation. Because James Williams didn't just make one controversial decision, he made multiple. Late in the game, like a mini left in the fourth quarter, he ejected Adu Zero and Aaron Holiday. That situation involved actual physicality and trash talk. I mean, personally, for me, arguably more intentional behavior than what Ethan did. And yet, those calls stacked on top of each other start to shift the tone of the entire game. LeBron James was visibly frustrated, especially about Adu. He called it out. He said it's so ridiculous and said it made no sense to eject a rookie in that situation. Also, Marcus Smart, Luka and Austin, the whole Lakers squad, they were totally mad at that. And they will just run on the court to fight and argue with that. So the situation was pretty messy. It's so rough. And shortly after, the league fined Smart $35,000 for questioning the integrity of game officials. Luka was also fined $25,000 for directing inappropriate language toward officials. So now you've got multiple players not just disagreeing, but reacting strongly enough to get fined. And I don't think it's isolated. So last week, earlier in the playoffs, Devin Booker called out James Williams by name after a questionable technical foul in a Sun Thunder game. Booker was also fined $35,000. So there's a pattern forming. Repeat controversial calls, the same official being involved, players public questioning decisions, and then the league responding with fines. That's when it stopped being about one play and started being about officiating controversy and accountability. So, to be clear here, the Lakers did not lose this game just because of the refs. Yeah, I totally agree there are something else that made the Lakers lose this game. But losing Ethan was huge. He was the most effective player that night. Absolutely changed the game floor. And the ref just decided to call him out. He removed the best player, the key player. They become part of the competitive equation. That's the issue, and that's totally unacceptable. Because the role of a referee is not just to enforce rules, it's to do it in a way that preserves fairness, flow, and competitive integrity. So that balance feels a little off, and it's not acceptable. I cannot accept it. The game just end like that. But honestly, separate emotion from the analysis and talk about the Lakers themselves is something we got to do here. Because Game 4 exposed some real structural issues, especially on offense. Well, coming into this season, the concern was always what happens when you don't have Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. So we got the answer here in Game 4. The offense becomes extremely dependent on LeBron. Ball handling, initiating stays, creating shots, facilitating. Like everything runs through him. And while LeBron is still elite, asking him to carry that entire load at this stage is not sustainable over a full game. Bro, he's 41. I know Marcus Smart and Luka and Austin step in and contribute, and they deserve credit. But roles matter, like Kadar in particular, was pushed into a much higher usage role than he's used to, and Houston recognized that immediately. So they increased ball pressure, target him again and again defensively, and disrupted his rhythm. That took away what makes him valuable, his shooting gravity. Because Kennard, at his best, when defense are reacting to him, not attacking him. So yeah, once that flipped, his his efficiency dropped significantly. That's what I see. So yeah, and that alone, you add in fatigue. The Lakers looked extremely tired, like they were on tired legs. Shots coming up short, slower rotations, less sharp execution. And meanwhile, Houston made their adjustments, increased defensive pressure, forced tougher shot creation, and took away easy passing lanes. So we got a situation where LeBron has to work harder for every touch. Secondary creators were struggling. Shot quality declined. And the result was exactly what we saw. Long scoring droughts and inconsistent offense. Another key issue here was shot selection. There was so many stretch. The Lakers passed out the real good look, and they forced contest shots late in the clock. Well, that was usually like a sign they were playing uncomfortably. So moving forward, the adjustment was pretty clear. They need to get LeBron touch in more advantage position like post, elbow, off-ball actions. Reduce his need to create everything off the dribble. Re-establish spacing and rhythm for shooters like Kennard, Louis. Because right now everything feels too forced. Even if we are taking a 3-1 series lead, those issues don't just disappear. If anything, they become more dangerous if Houston builds confidence. And now this is where things get interesting. Austin Reeves might be back. So this is the third consecutive game he's least questionable as is back. And yesterday he was a full participant in practice and spoke to the media for the first time since suffering that grade 2 oblique strain back on April 2nd. And what stood out wasn't just his health, it was his perspective. He talked about watching the team, their effort, their chemistry, their attention to detail. You can tell he's been mentally engaged the entire time. I'm happy to see that. And now he's so ready to be back to the basketball court to be part of that. He still leads us a game time decision, but this is the closest he's been. And from the basketball standpoint, his return would address multiple issues at once. He gives the team secondary ball handling, shot creation, decision making under pressure. That's what he's so good at, and also offensive balance. So basically, he relieves the pressure on LeBron. Instead of one primary creator, now we got two. That changes how the defense has to operate. It also allows players like Kennard to slide back into more natural roles where they are more effective. So if Austin plays, it's not just a boost, it's a structural fix. So heading into game 5, there are really 3 big questions here. Can the Lakers clean up their offensive issues? Will the refs do their job, stay out of the spotlight, or become part of the story again? And does Austin Reeves return and shift the balance of the series? Because if he does, this could end quickly. Yeah, so please come back. Please, we really need you, Austin Reeves. And yeah, I'm happy to see what things going on. And also, Luka, he's doing okay, but I think he needs more time to come back to the court. I see some of the sources saying he will not make his return for the second round, but we'll see. I just want him to be healthy. Yeah, and just get back stronger. So, yeah, let's get ready for game 5. It will be an epic close out game. I'm confident for the Lakers. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. So, enjoy your day.